seen that the news on the Bertuzzi surgery. Do you have a timeline on? I see it's saying that he'll be ready for the start of next season, but any kind of timeline on when he can start rehabbing and all that in this off season?
Uh, I don't want to get into the exact timing of that because I don't know. I don't have it sitting in front of me, and I don't know that it's totally pertinent. Like at the end of the day, um, he's going to go through a normal rehab process, and then the rehab process goes into beginning to train into training. So he'll go through the process through the summer.
Is this similar to the Kaiser surgery and that timeline? Do you know?
Every timeline with surgeries is different, I believe, especially when you're dealing with things like the back. I think the timelines always vary. Certainly, the recovery process always varies. We've had a few major back surgeries here in the past with Henrik and DK and it's always a little bit different. It has to do with a lot of factors that I don't know enough about, and I don't want to pretend to be, a doctor. I certainly know that the amount of nerve damage that DK had to deal with was something that delayed his full recovery and may still. So everyone's different. I wouldn't compare one to the next.
And do you have an update on Larkin? It's been now 2 weeks. He was supposed to be reevaluated. Any news there?
He's continuing to be evaluated. He has been and is going to continue to be. So I don't have any news that's of any concrete at all that I'd be able to give you, except that he's being evaluated, and we'll keep seeing where it goes.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Next up, Ted Colton, Detroit News.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, how big of obviously, you can call it a setback. It's going to be a tough rehab, it sounds like, for him. We've seen with all these back injuries, it's not an easy one.
No,
it's tricky.
It's tricky. There's been some guys have had it, and, again, every back surgery is different, and I don't want to get into the details of it, nor do I necessarily know which exact all those stuff. So at the end of the day, everyone's a little bit different. We like any injury, you never know for sure what recoveries are like. But I think there's an anticipation that he's going to be able to make a full recovery and be ready at the start of next year, and we'll see.
Hey, is there anything new with Fabry? Is he coming back this weekend?
Fabs will not play this weekend. I would say that's out of I guess doing what's right and making sure that we're being a little bit cautious with it, but he won't play this weekend.
How would you assess his season? It's one of those things when he was on the ice and available, pretty productive, but the key for him, I guess, just to stay on the ice.
Yeah, obviously this is just a different year, because some of that's COVID, and
yeah.
Let's all hope that we don't have to deal with that a year from now to the level we did this year. Maybe we will. I don't know. But so it's different that way. You generally don't miss that many games because of some type of illness. And then he again, I think he had a pretty good year. I think he when he was on the ice, as you said, I think he played pretty effective. He's a guy who can score goals, and he's a pretty good goal scorer. And I think that's obviously something that is needed in our lineup and needed in most lineups in the NHL. So I was happy with Robbie's approach. I was happy with Robbie's summer, and he's going to have a real good summer again this summer.
The last one, so you get the 4 or 5 days off, whatever it is. How does that, okay, it's late in the season, so maybe it's a little different, but how do you prepare for these final 2 games with that much time off? And in the back of your mind is like, all right, well, where were these days off? We could have used them earlier in the season or something.
Yeah, I'm assuming that part of the scheduling, scheduling is one of the hardest things anybody will ever do. I can tell you that. I've been a part of it before, and it's darn near impossible. I would assume part of this scheduling quirk that we're in right now is the fact that they wanted to leave some open dates in case games needed to be maneuvered, which in our case it hasn't happened. So now we've had this weird thing where we've been going every other day, and then all of a sudden you have 4 days off in between your next games, and then you play back to back. I mean, it's definitely different, So, what we try to do today is get a good sweat on, and compete, and get our guys as ready to compete as possible. We'll have a more structured practice tomorrow. Today was more small games. We'll have more structured practice tomorrow, and get our guys as ready as possible to compete on Friday and Saturday, and make the most of each one of those games.
Perfect. Thanks for this, Jeff.
Yep.
Next up, Max Boatman with The Athletic.
Hey, Jeff, just curious, have you spoken with Tyler since surgery, and what kind of spirits is he in? Where's his head at?
Yeah, I've only spoken via text. I think Tyler's a pretty positive person generally. I think he's been frustrated. He's positive, yet, he's got some emotion for sure. I think he's frustrated, with the way everything shook out. Tyler wants to play hockey, loves playing hockey. He's a rink rat, and but I also think he understands that, he went through the right process, did everything right through to try to this point, and now it's in the rehab process.
And then obviously, I know you're not a doctor. I know every back injury is serious. Is the fact that he's younger, does that make it more intimidating, I guess, because it's a back at a young age, or is it better because it's, maybe easier to recover from? I don't know if you have any guidance on that.
I don't, it'd be an uneducated view on it. I would think that, I think anytime you have surgery, the younger you are, probably the better, to be honest with you. In terms of your ability to recover from it. Certainly, the younger you start sustaining things, there can be long-term effects. That I would say that, a lot of that would be have to post-career stuff, like just in terms of, you're just having lots of stuff done early. So that's what a lot of these athletes go through, is they get beat up at ages that most of us don't, and so then they have to live with some of that as they move forward. But I think from a recovery standpoint, being younger is always younger, healthy is always a good thing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next up, Bob Winowski, Detroit News.
Hey there, Jeff. Obviously, with 2 games left in the season, ending decisions will be made, and your contract is up. And Yzerman has talked about talking with you quickly after the season. Do you have any expectation how that's going to go? Have you gotten any indication? Do you have anything to say on your behalf, if there's something to be said on your behalf?
Well, if I did, Bob, to be honest with you, I wouldn't necessarily use this as the as the avenue to say anything. Honestly, I've just spent every day coaching here, and I'll continue to until Saturday, trying to do the best we can to make sure that our team is as prepared as possible. And other than that, I live in the now as much as possible, Joe. So we'll see what happens after the season.
And I'm not asking you to tout your own thing, but it is safe to say the last several weeks, month or so, there has been obvious improvement, especially in the young guys. And is that what gives you the most encouragement going forward?
For me, it's not necessarily about encouragement of what of a decision that I don't necessarily have control over. For me, it's about it's very important for me to do a good job, and I know when I've done a good job, when I haven't. And when I look at where we're at today, I know we're a better hockey team. I know our players have improved as players, and I know that I believe that we have planted good seeds for a better tomorrow for this organization by building the foundation of the way that we're doing things and the way doing things right. And so, I draw satisfaction in my job mostly from helping our individuals get better and watching our team grow. That's what really, obviously I love to win. We all love to win. But we all, when you coach teams at different stages, and sometimes you coach teams that are totally ready to win, and sometimes you coach teams that are in a rebuild. That's reality, and I've done both at varying levels. I've done both, and regardless of which stage you're in, what crushes me as a coach is when I don't see progress from our group, and what makes me excited is when I see progress from our group, both individually and as a team. And I feel like throughout the course of the season, we've seen that progress, and that's extremely important to me.
Just real quick, have you or Iserman had any talks during the season at all about your future at any point?
No, we don't. No. We talk about our team. We talk about our day-to-day matters, our roster, those types of things.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next up, Helene St. James, Detroit Free Press.
How quickly is quickly? Jeff, it's not Sunday, right? You're not
That
going to
would be a
ruin
good-
Mother's Day for everyone.
That would be a question for Steve.
I will ask him when I have brunch with him next.
Okay.
Bobby Ryan, unfortunate early ending to his season. He seemed like a guy who fit in pretty much instantly. What is it about him, you think, that both on and off the ice that just was such a good immediate fit? I mean, that's my perspective. I obviously wasn't in the locker room, but from everything.
Yeah. Your perspective is correct. He fit in right away. First off, I think Bobby has a lot of respect from players around the league because of the level of player he's been, what he's accomplished in his career. And then I think when you meet him, you respect him even more because of the person he is. He's a really, really good person. He's a genuine person. He cares about the people he's around. He cares about helping other people. He cares about our hockey team growing. And so, those two things give you a ton of respect, and he certainly has earned that from everybody in this organization. So, I think to me, to answer the question, it's because of who Bobby is that he was able to kind of step in right away and be a good fit.
And how vital is it, even in, a rebuild, and you need the young guys to come in and push for bigger roles, but to have guys like him, we kind of talked about it last week with Sam Gagne, but to have guys like, Bobby Ryan was a second overall pick, right? I mean, that's, talk about somebody who knows huge expectations and has been through a ton, but to have guys like that as well in a rebuild.
Well, what those guys have is they have perspective from a lot of different experiences. And when you're young, you just don't have that perspective. I say this all the time. It's not that older people are smarter per se than younger people. It's that they've gained a perspective through going through lots of different experiences. And somebody like Bobby, who was that high a pick, who's been at the top in terms of like a go-to offensive top line guy, who's also been a guy who sat out of the lineup in a healthy scratch, and so now he can help guys at different stages in their careers, and we talked about with Sam Gagne, all those guys. I think those are critical pieces to the growth of young players. When I went to the Grand Rapids Griffins my first year, one of the best things that ever happened to Grand Rapids was Jeff Hogan, Nathan Pache, Brennan Evans, Tristan Grant. Those players did an unbelievable job of being Papa Bears to our young up and coming players like Nyquist and Tatar. Like, they did an excellent job. And I think those are, anytime you're in a situation, whether anytime you're trying to develop young people, whether it's in the American League or in a situation like us where we're playing a whole bunch of young guys, they have to have great role models. They have to have great Papa Bears that can help them work their way through the different challenges that they face in their careers, people that they respect. Coaches are one thing. It's a whole different thing when you can get that inside your locker room. And I say that all the time. We won a championship that year in Grand Rapids, and those young players grew at a great rate. And I would give as much credit to those players I mentioned, that veteran presence, than to anything else that happened. And that's kind of the same thing we've had here this season and really in the past as well. And we've had some real good role models. Those role models are critical for young players to develop.
Yeah, well, I'm going to sit down quickly now and write my story. So thank you.
Yep.
That's it for us today. Thanks, everyone.